HOA Karen ruined my pool with oil. Didn't know the FBI would show up with a fine. Part 1. The oil apocalypse begins. My pool exploded. Not literally, but that's what it felt like the second I stepped outside and saw the surface of my once crystal-clear oasis, shimmering with thick, black, greasy sludge. It looked like a death sentence, painted in oil. Neighbors stood frozen, clutching their kids and pool noodles like they were about to battle a sea monster. A dog howled in the distance. Birds squawked from the rooftops like they'd just witnessed a crime. I blinked, hoping I was hallucinating, maybe from those suspicious nachos I'd eaten at 2 a.m. But no, this wasn't a dream. My pool had been sabotaged. And in that moment, I knew exactly who did it. Karen. Karen Lam, HOA president, suburban overlord, full-time destroyer of joy. She stood across the cul-de-sac, smiling, that unsettling pastel yoga pants Joker grin. It wasn't always this way. When I moved into Whispering Oaks, I had dreams, peaceful weekends, BBQs, a pool to unwind in after escaping the endless nightmare of landlords who believed air conditioning meant taping a fan to the window. The HOA seemed harmless at first. I laughed at the 36-page rulebook banning overly enthusiastic wind chimes and judgmental-looking plants. Until I met Karen. She introduced herself with a clipboard, a sideways head tilt, and a superiority complex you could see from space. She didn't ask if I had questions. She asked if I had read every guideline, especially the sections on backyard modifications, communal harmony, and decorative cohesion. I smiled, nodded, and silently vowed to keep my lawn trimmed with military precision. What I didn't know was that Karen had a vendetta against pools. Rumor was, years ago she tried to get one installed, but the old HOA board called her design aesthetic chaos and rejected her plans. Ever since then, she treated every splash in the neighborhood like a personal insult. When my pool was narrowly approved by the board, she made sure I felt the weight of her passive-aggressive fury. First, it was the emails. Just a friendly reminder, pool umbrellas must be navy blue, not cobalt. Then came the fines. Your pool filter is audible from 17 feet away at 8:02 a.m. I tried to laugh, then cried, then bought noise-canceling headphones and learned to meditate to whale sounds. But what really pushed things over the edge was the party. My housewarming / I finally have a pool bash. I went all out. Fun invites, too many burgers, a DJ named Sir Splash-A-Lot, don't ask, and yes, a giant inflatable flamingo named Destiny. I didn't invite Karen, but somehow she found out. She showed up with a casserole and a smile so tight it could slice glass. She sniffed the air like she was detecting unauthorized fun, and left without a word. Except one. She stopped beside the pool, stared into the water, and muttered, "Enjoy it while you can." And the next morning, I understood exactly what she meant. Screams tore me out of bed. Not horror movie screams, chaotic, poolside panic screams. I ran outside barefoot. Instant regret as I stepped on what felt like a melted Hot Wheels car. Then I saw it, my pool, my pride. It had been turned into an oil pit, pitch-black water, bubbling, glimmering with that rainbow sheen you only see in nightmares. Or mechanic garages. Kids backed away. A boy cried over his floating turtle. Destiny had capsized. Even Sir Splash-A-Lot was speechless. A man who once freestyled about meatloaf for 7 minutes straight. The smell hit me like an engine blew up in my lungs. And then I saw it. Floating by the skimmer basket. A glove. Not just any glove, a gardening glove. with the initials KL stitched neatly into the corner. Karen Lam HOA Queen. Leopard print slipper enthusiast. And the only woman I know who prunes her hedges at 6 a.m. I grabbed the glove with pool tongs like it was radioactive. The neighbors began whispering. Someone took a photo. Someone else suggested calling the EPA. It felt like CSI:Suburbia, except instead of blood splatter, we had chlorine slicks and a soggy flamingo. My blood boiled. This wasn't a prank. This was chemical warfare. Pool-mageddon. And Karen had left her signature like a cartoon villain. I thought it'd be simple. Report her, show the evidence, and justice would do its job. But the HOA, they investigated and then fined me for suspicious fluid discharge on community property. Karen? She sipped from her HOA royalty mug and offered to send me a pool cleaning brochure. I wanted to launch her into orbit with a pool net. That night I sat on my porch, defeated, smelling like engine grease and shattered dreams, until my cousin Leo, tech genius and proud VPN hoarder, said, "Dude, look at this." He'd reviewed my backyard security footage, zoomed in, and there she was, a shadowy figure, hoodie, limping slightly, carrying a jug. And when she left, she no longer had it. That was all I needed to know. It was her. And this time, I wasn't playing defense. Part 2, Operation Karen, Surveillance, Sabotage, and the FBI. The morning after the oil disaster, my yard smelled like a truck stop at rush hour. I hadn't slept. Every creak of the fence, every flap of a bird's wing had me jumping like I was trapped in some low-budget thriller. My head spun with the footage. That hoodie, that jug, that suspicious limp, it had to be Karen. No doubt in my chlorine-soaked soul. But the footage was grainy, potato quality, the kind of resolution where it could have been Bigfoot and we'd still be guessing. Leo leaned forward and said, "You need real proof, something even the HOA can't gaslight." So, we got to work. Operation Karen was born. Leo showed up the next morning with a box labeled Top Secret Justice Edition. Inside, birdhouse cameras, motion sensors, a drone made from Arby's parts, and a baby monitor hidden inside a fake rock. We turned my backyard into Fort Knox, with garden gnomes. It felt ridiculous, creepy even, but when you're up against a HOA tyrant with a clipboard and an agenda, you do what you have to do. Meanwhile, Karen kept her routine, walking her demon fluffball muffin right past my mailbox, every single morning and every time. Muffin dropped a stinky gift beside my property line, while Karen watched, smiling. I complained. She said, "It's a free country," and then hummed the national anthem as she walked away. That same afternoon, I got an HOA citation, mailbox posture violation. I didn't even know that was a thing. And then, things got weird. A white van started parking on the corner every night. No music, no ice cream, just a faded logo on the side. Chilly treats, except no kid ever approached it. One evening I walked past and caught a glimpse inside through a cracked window. Monitors, headphones, a guy in sunglasses. At night. Leo ran the plate through one of his shady bookmarked sites. The van, registered to Whispering Oaks, HOA Community Security. Karen had surveillance on the whole neighborhood, disguised as an ice cream truck. We knew what we had to do. Leo dressed as a delivery guy, showed up with a fake package of yoga bricks. While the operator argued about signing for it, I slipped into the van's side door. Inside, it was like a low-budget bat cave, live feeds, audio logs, folder after folder of every house in the neighborhood. But one folder stood out, Pool Gate. I clicked. And there it was, Dozens of zoomed-in stills of my pool, my guests, even Destiny. She had been documenting my pool like a villain hunting trophies. I downloaded the entire folder onto Leo's flash drive and got out before the guy realized Parcel Dude was a fake company. Back home, we scoured the footage. One night vision photo made my stomach drop. Timestamp matched the exact time of the oil dumping. Short figure, slippers, jug in hand, and on the wrist, a glint of something shiny. Karen's bracelet. Gold, with a little charm that read, HOA 4EVR. You cannot make this upper. But it still wasn't enough. Karen would spin it, say it was photoshopped, or worse, that I planted the footage. So I decided to play her game. The next day, I threw a pool memorial party. Yup, a full satire cookout to honor the death of my pool. Posters read, R.I.P. Clean Water and Justice for Destiny. I gave a dramatic speech. Neighbors laughed. Karen did not. She stood by the punch bowl with a scowl so intense it could have curdled milk. Mid-party? She approached, handed me a foil-covered casserole and said, "Peace offering." I took it like it was radioactive. Label said tuna surprise, but I suspected the surprise was sabotage. Later, Leo and I opened it with tongs. Inside, fishy goo. And under the foil, a smear of black sludge. Leo ran a chemical test strip over it. It turned bright purple. Same signature as the pool, he said. Gotcha. That evening, I marched into the HOA board meeting holding that casserole like Exhibit A. I laid it all out. The footage, the glove, the surveillance van, and the radioactive tuna. Karen, calm, legs crossed, expression unreadable. Then she did what all HOA tyrants do when cornered. She laughed. "This is a conspiracy," she scoffed. "That footage could be fake." "Who's to say you didn't set all this up?" the board mumbled. "Let's not jump to conclusions." I wanted to scream. And then the door burst open. A man in a suit strode in, folder in hand, badge on his belt. He looked around and said, "I'm Agent Ramirez, Federal Environmental Division. I need to speak with Mike Jensen." I raised my hand, slowly. He walked over, opened his folder. "The substance found in your pool matches a restricted synthetic motor oil under federal regulation. We're launching an investigation into illegal environmental dumping, and we believe it was done intentionally." He turned and looked directly at Karen. "We'll need to speak with your HOA. All of it." The room went dead silent. Karen's foot stopped swinging, and just like that, everything changed. Part 3. The HOA collapses, and Karen loses her crown. The silence after the FBI walked in was unreal. No snarky clipboard comments, no passive-aggressive rule quoting. Karen was speechless. Agent Ramirez introduced himself again, calmly, and requested to speak with both of us privately. Karen tried to regain control. She put on her HOA voice, syrupy and fake. "I think there's been some confusion. Our HOA operates with community values and—" Ramirez didn't even flinch. "Ma'am, this isn't about your community potluck." His voice dropped. "This is about environmental crimes, tied to illegal dumping operations, and obstruction." Karen froze. Back at my house, Ramirez sat at my dining table, flipping through a folder thicker than Karen's rule book. "Let me break this down," he said. "The oil in your pool isn't off-the-shelf motor oil. It's industrial grade, synthetic, highly toxic. It was supposed to be incinerated under federal regulation." I blinked. "So, I could be charged for this?" He nodded. "If we don't prove sabotage, the liability falls on the landowner." My stomach dropped. Everything I'd built, my pool, my house, my sanity, all of it could go down in oily flames, unless we got ironclad proof. So we showed Ramirez everything. The hacked HOA surveillance files, the fuzzy footage of Karen sneaking in with a jug, the casserole, complete with purple glowing goo. Then Leo found it. A file buried deep inside HOA records. Operation Pool Doom Lol MP4. Ramirez raised an eyebrow. It was grainy, but unmistakable. Karen. Hood up, jug in hand. Whispering, let's see how he enjoys his little oasis now. Then, she giggled. An actual villain giggle. Ramirez just shook his head. She named the file. Arrogance and stupidity. Dangerous combination. From that point forward, things escalated fast. Turns out Karen had a record, flagged in an old EPA case tied to a landscaping company she part-owned. Her nephew was involved too. He ran a used oil collection business that stockpiled toxic waste instead of disposing it. And guess what? Several barrels had gone missing, a month before my pool turned into the Exxon Valdez. When questioned, Karen said, I haven't spoken to my nephew in years. But Ramirez found emails, payment receipts, even a group chat where she messaged, need a favor, something messy. Her little HOA kingdom? It started to collapse. Board members cracked one by one. Apologies came flooding in. Neighbors, board officials, even the guy who fined me for mailbox posture irregularity. One board member named Mark confessed Karen had made him sign blank citation forms, which she later filled in. She fined a guy once for having a festive garden gnome, he said. Festive. That was the crime. Ramirez organized a neighborhood-wide federal briefing. Lawn chairs, clipboards, confused faces everywhere. He laid it all out a la saldo illegal dumping. HOA fund misuse, surveillance overreach, identity fraud, how connected to Karen's nephew. You could feel the temperature shift. Confusion turned to fury. Fear turned to freedom. Karen? She didn't show up. But she did post a dramatic rant in the HOA newsletter, comparing herself to Joan of Arc. I kid you not. That same day, I received one last HOA violation. Lawn clippings visible beyond property boundary. I laughed. It was her final act of defiance. But I wasn't laughing for long. Because I had an idea. With the board shattered, and the neighborhood finally waking up, I called for a vote. Not just any vote. A full recall of Karen as HOA president. According to her bylaws, ironically, if 60% of homeowners signed a petition, she could be removed. I got 73%. The emergency meeting was tense. Karen showed up wearing a wide-brimmed hat and sunglasses, like she was hiding from paparazzi. She sat front and center, still trying to project power. When I stood up to speak, she cut me off. This is a farce, she said. You're tearing apart the fabric of our community. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just played the video. On a giant screen. Karen. Hooded. Sneaking through bushes. Dumping oil. Whispering her monologue like she was auditioning for Suburban Supervillain of the Year. Silence. Then, the vote. Unanimous. Even the board members she thought were loyal raised their hands. Karen sat motionless, staring. Then she stood up, looked me in the eye, and said in a voice so cold it gave me chills, "You think this is over? You have no idea what you've started." Then she turned, heels clicking across the pavement, and walked out, like a dictator, finally dethroned. It should have felt like victory. But something about her tone, it stuck with me. This wasn't over. Not yet. Part 4. Karen Strikes Back, the $155,000 plot twist. Just when I thought the nightmare was over, just when I started to breathe again, Karen struck back, with the kind of precision only a truly unhinged HOA villain could muster. It started small. An anonymous noise complaint filed with the city. claiming my new saltwater pool pump exceeded decibel levels by exactly 0.6 decibels at 3:14 a.m. on Tuesdays. The inspector showed up, shrugging, holding a decibel meter like it was cursed. "Sorry, protocol," he muttered. "We got a tip." Yeah, a tip from someone wearing leopard print slippers, no doubt. Then came the mailbox fine. Apparently, my mailbox was tilted 3 degrees west due to irregular soil swelling. Seriously, what does that even mean? Then came the graffiti. 3 nights in a row, someone sprayed Ho for Life in hot pink across my driveway, my fence, and yes, even Destiny's inflatable wing. At first, I laughed. It was so cartoonishly bitter, it felt like satire. Until Leo showed me the footage. Grainy, distorted, possibly tampered with. But the figure in the video, wearing leopard print slippers. My laugh, died instantly. Karen hadn't disappeared, she'd gone underground, a HOA-obsessed mole and with spray paint and vengeance in her soul. Then, Ramirez came back, not for a party this time. He showed up on my porch, exhausted. "She filed a report," he said, "claiming your rebuilt pool uses unregulated chemicals." And the kicker? She filed it under a fake name, Carla Frame. Subtle, Karen. Real subtle. But she forgot one thing. IP addresses don't lie. Ramirez rolled his eyes and added her to the growing pile of pending charges. At this point, her legal record was starting to look like a GTA leaderboard. But she wasn't done, because then came the letter, an official-looking envelope, government seal, all caps, return address, Federal Environmental Protection Bureau inside, a notice of fine. I was being charged $155,000 a month for hazardous chemical storage and improper disposal. I read it once, then twice, then 3 times, and it still said the same thing. Because the oil was dumped on my property. Legally, I was still responsible. Unless I could definitively prove I wasn't involved. I was on the hook. Karen knew this law. She had played me from the beginning. It wasn't just about destroying my pool. It was about framing me for it. The civil suit I'd won against her, the $25,000 I'd gotten in damages, gone. The pool I'd rebuilt, now a legal liability. Neighbors moved on. The online buzz faded. Even Destiny, once the proud symbol of suburban resistance, now floated half deflated in the corner. And Karen, wherever she was hiding, was probably sipping herbal tea, smirking, watching it all collapse. I felt defeated, for real this time, until Leo, glorious, petty, stubborn Leo, said 6 words. "She's dumb enough to keep receipts." And just like that, he went full digital bloodhound. He scoured old emails, decrypted cloud backups, scraped browser caches Karen probably thought she'd deleted. And then he found it. A folder titled Backups Pool 2025 Inside, Photos, Karen. Smiling beside oil barrels, labeling jugs with her nephew, holding a clipboard that read, "Pool Surprise," while doing duck lips. She even had a selfie, holding the actual jug. Captioned, "Revenge is best served slick. We packaged everything, sent it to Ramirez. He flew to the field office in person. The $155,000 charge dropped within 48 hours. The EPA even sent me a written apology, in that stiff, bureaucratic tone that basically said, oops." Karen was slapped with another federal charge, falsifying environmental reports. It stuck. She was fined $40,000, issued a cease and desist, and banned from holding any community leadership position in the state for 5 years. And that was the final nail. No more citations, no more pink spray paint, No more HOA tyrant dressed like a yoga mom Bond villain. We called it Freedom Fest. No fines, no casseroles, no Karen. Just real people, real fun, and a pool that no longer smelled like synthetic despair. Part 5. Destiny Rises, the end of Karen and the start of freedom. We called it Freedom Fest, and it was legendary. No more HOA fines, no more mailbox violations, no more stealth ice cream truck surveillance vans, just joy. Pure, unfiltered, neighborly joy. We had food trucks, games, a bouncy castle shaped like a gnome, just to spite Karen. And Destiny? Oh, Destiny. She returned, reborn. This time, with golden inflatable wings and a crown. Leo designed t-shirts that read, "I survived the HOApocalypse." He sold out by noon. Even Ramirez came back, again, in flip-flops and a Hawaiian shirt, sipping from a coconut cup, pretending not to be a federal agent. The mayor showed up for 10 minutes, took a selfie with Destiny, declared it the most American thing he'd seen all year. It was surreal, but more than that, it was healing. I stood at the edge of the pool, drink in hand, as music played and kids cannonballed into freedom. No inspections, no fines, just laughter, and then an old neighbor, the one who'd lived there the longest, patted me on the back and said, "You saved this place, you know, and you did it without becoming like her." That stuck with me, because it hadn't been easy. There were nights I wanted to give up, days I nearly fought petty with petty, moments where I dreamed of mailing Karen a box full of glitter and guilt. But in the end, it wasn't revenge that saved us. It was truth. It was exposure. It was the power of one flamingo-themed pool float, and a neighborhood that finally found its voice. The community came together, for real this time. We dissolved the original HOA, scrapped Karen's 36-page rulebook, created a new structure, rotating leadership, open votes, no lifetime thrones. They offered me the first chair position. I accepted under one condition. No one named Karen may ever hold executive power again. Petty? Maybe. But the crowd erupted. Even Ramirez clapped. Rebuilding the pool took time, effort, and a small army of contractors who treated it like radioactive waste. But I didn't just fix it. I upgraded it. Saltwater system, LED lights that shimmered at night, and on the pool floor, a mural of Destiny, wearing shades, rising like a phoenix, from a rainbow-colored wave of triumph. It wasn't just a pool anymore. It was a monument, a battlefield turned sanctuary, a middle finger made of tile and chlorine. We held the grand reopening 2 months later, and this time, everyone came. Even people from outside the neighborhood, folks who'd followed the whole saga online, showed up to celebrate. Leo DJ'd the whole night. He even remixed Karen's oil-dumping monologue into a dance track. It slapped, as the sun dipped below the rooftops, and the water glowed purple and blue. I stood beside the pool, smiling. Destiny floated gently, proudly. Leo passed me a drink and said, "So, what's next?" I looked around. Neighbors were laughing, kids were splashing, and for once, nobody was documenting me for excessively vibrant lawn chairs. I took a deep breath. Honestly, I'm just going to enjoy the water. No drama, no secret plots, no HOA tyrants with federal warrants, just peace. I raised my glass. "To freedom," I whispered. Leo raised his back. "To chlorine." We clinked, and with that, I dove in. The water was perfect. Destiny squeaked in approval, and for the first time in a long, long time, everything felt right. Epilogue. A ripple in the water. It's funny how peace feels strange when you've lived through chaos. Sometimes I still expect a knock at the door, a pink slip on my mailbox, or destiny deflated with a Sharpie message that says, "Miss me?" But no, Karen's gone. The rules are gone. And for once, the neighborhood breathes. Destiny floats quietly now, not in protest, but in peace. The flamingo who once stood against tyranny, now basks in the calm she helped create. Every now and then, a new family moves in. They ask about the mural on the pool floor, about the HOA revolution they heard whispers of online. I just smile and say, it's a long story, but it ends with freedom and one really stubborn, inflatable flamingo. Then I lean back, close my eyes, and let the water ripple gently around me. Because some victories don't need parades. They just need peace.